After 10 races, we have a pretty clear picture on who has the best car, and this is making team rethink their strategy twice. Some are putting a halt on any 2025 plans and are starting to fully focus on 2026, which will see the biggest regulations changes ever. However, some are seeing opportunities and are allocating more time and resources into their current car, most notably Ferrari and Mercedes, as they're bringing big upgrades in the coming races. Will this change the order along the grid? Will it catch McLaren off guard? Let's find out. Inside the Scuderia, there is a very divergent picture of the SF25's future. Some, like as Hamilton, are calling for technical changes soon, while others believe it is best to wait until 2026. Then, there are those who, on the contrary, are betting on a potential of the red car that is not seen on the track. The technical director proposed this proposal, which Vasseur supported. Who's right? We must not fire the red cross. Ferrari is going through a difficult period, and the lack of results is causing increasing worry within the team and outside of sports management. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, who immediately defended the team principal after the articles questioned him, have returned to sniping at a red team that is incapable of winning, to the point where the 7-time world champion is once again calling for resources to be allocated to next year. We clearly see that the others are bringing updates. I don't know why we haven't introduced any yet, honestly. I think one will come very soon, I hope. The current mentality is that there are many changes to be made within the system. I would like to be able to tell you what is happening. There are many things that happen behind the scenes. For my part, we need to build the foundations, because we are not fighting for the championship. It is clear that we are not in the running for the title. We need to make sure that next year we have a great car. We must not waste too much time focusing on this season. I would like to ensure that next year's car is clearly better from the first race, Hamilton said. Lewis's talk is straightforward and concise. Avoid wasting time on the unsatisfactory SF25 and instead focus all of your efforts on the 678, the 2026 car that will usher in the regulatory revolution. Ferrari, in reality, is completing the construction of the long-awaited rear suspension and the new floor, which, according to expectations, should turn the season around, putting the red team in a position to at least fight for second place until the end, while the Scuderia's current potential causes it to oscillate between third and fourth place in technical values. Following Imola, Prancing Horse Management requested an advance on technical changes, maybe skipping some verification tests on the dynamic bench, preferring to take some chances, while getting the innovations to the track as quickly as feasible. The facts show that there was no urgency, even though Mercedes, for example, had shown a new rear suspension in Imola. It had failed to impress on its initial trip, and after missing 2 races, Monaco and Spain, it returned to Canada, winning with George Russell and finishing third with Kimi Antonelli. A sign that it is possible to make a change in the season characterized by the domination of McLaren. It is not only Red Bull that interrupts the hegemony of the MCL 39 with Max Verstappen, given that now the Stella has also joined, and Ferrari is the only top team that is missing. The SF25 should find a more suitable terrain in Austria. It is a track with medium fast turns, where the red car could defend itself better than in Canada. So don't be shocked if we don't see any of the scheduled changes in Styria, but rather detailed interventions to adapt the car to the track. What is happening? At home, in the Gestione Sportiva, they believe that on the track, they are not maximizing the potential that is often demonstrated in simulations. This is the basis of Fred Vasseur's latest narrative, in which he believes that a successful weekend execution is more crucial than the introduction of upgrades. This appears to be the technical director's theory, rather than that of the team principal. Loic Serra envisions a more competitive red car than is currently available. Some argue that they lack the innovation on the track, which frequently allows Red Bull to overturn a wrong setup in free practice on Friday, and then install Max Verstappen on the front row. In short, there are 2 spirits on the team. Those who quickly summon technical improvements, and others who would rather gain time to extract the car's hidden potential. We will have some changes soon, Vasseur admitted in Montreal. But I don't think that's the main problem. If you make the first record sector in Montreal, I don't think there's a need to bring so many updates. It's not that the others introduce them every weekend, and it's not that we don't bring anything just because we don't declare them. We have to focus on ourselves because we didn't do a clean job this weekend. The indirect criticism is directed at Charles Leclerc, who crashed in FP1, therefore losing 2 free practice sessions before making blunders in qualifying. The Monegasque is under pressure since he is attempting to compensate for the SF25's faults with his innate aptitude, and he occasionally makes mistakes that are now being flung back at him. Because of the problems, he is seen as the saviour of the country. One thing is certain: the problems stem not from the drivers, but from a single-seater that fails to meet expectations. Ferrari must establish a point-of-view identity, rather than clear distinctions based on utterances. McLaren and Mercedes, more than Red Bull, introduce improvements to grow, and their ideas produce actual outcomes. Ferrari has summoned its suspension technicians, who had previously been diverted to the 678, to redesign the new rear suspension. The decision to intervene in the rear was made late, and given how long it takes to design, produce, and test innovations, it is not surprising that certain solutions will be seen at Silverstone or elsewhere. But gaining time presents a question. Is it feasible that the team is just making things worse in the long run? As for Mercedes, they seem to be on top of the world after their double podium in Candada. The Brackley team fully redeemed itself in Canada with Russell's victory, Antonelli's first F1 podium finish, and Pin's Formula One Academy victory. The accomplishments are unsurprising considering the circuit Gilles Villeneuve's features, which favour silver cars, and certain improvements on the W16. Simone Resta reports on the weekend in Montreal and future upgrades for the upcoming races. Mercedes has historically struggled with high temperatures in recent seasons, particularly when they cause considerable tyre deterioration. But, in Canada, this was not an issue due to modifications to the W16 and circuit characteristics. Simone Resta explains in detail, "In every race we try to bring something and there are incremental steps. Therefore, they are not radical changes, and they always help. But I think our car was particularly suited to these conditions, and we also worked a lot on the setup and the driver's approach. First of all, we brought to Canada a development on the floor and also on the front wing, and also on Friday we tested again a rear suspension that had been tested before in Imola, and then we confirmed it on Friday, also using it on Saturday and Sunday." While the team's plans were highly attacked in the European treble, particularly in Monaco, where they delayed the necessary double pit stop, they were spot on in Canada, with stops called at the optimal times. At the beginning of the week, and even before the event, we were thinking about considering the option of a one-stop race, so with medium and hard tyres. But obviously, you have to go out on track, understand how long the tyres actually last, and also see how the weather is changing. During the weekend, for example, the temperature has been slowly, but step by step, increasing, which obviously makes it more and more difficult to make a one-stop strategy. In our case, we decided to stop early and defend ourselves from a possible undercut by Max. That was our first stint, which obviously also dictated the development of the race. And then in the second phase, we decided instead to stay out longer and gain an advantage on the tyres compared to Max. Tyre selection was critical, especially during qualifying, where Russell ran a great lap on the mediums. This is not the first time we've seen mediums outperform softs this season. Mercedes stunned everyone with this choice at Imola in the third quarter. It was a worthwhile decision. We have to remember that the medium tyre we used here is actually last year's soft tyre, and all the compounds have been moved up a notch towards the softer end. And we think the tyres were similar in terms of overall lap time, with the soft maybe a little bit quicker, or let's say a similar lap time. But with the medium, we think it was a little bit easier to manage, and also offered better performance over more laps. Should we expect a similar performance in the following event, which takes place in Austria? I would sign anywhere just to repeat it, but I'm not sure it will be that easy, and we have clearly learned a lot from the start of the season in those conditions. As I said, we learned some characteristics in Imola and Spain, and I think we will build step by step our understanding going to Austria. Obviously, we will also have new parts coming on the car in those races, which always help to improve the performance. So we will see. Let's see what we can achieve in Austria. So, what's your thoughts? Can Ferrari or Mercedes challenge McLaren again in Austria? And will their changes bring them in competition for P1 in the Constructors' Championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.